Okay, hi guys. It's Jennifer John Gabiola, and this is video, 12, I think. So, video 12 in my video series called 20 Looks and Outlooks for 2020. And today we're going to do something a little bit different, extra special. I brought my girl here, Denise, and I'll have her introduce and talk more about her. But she's a talented musical artist, singer. How do we meet, Denise? We'll talk more about how we met in a minute, but
Yeah.
it's a longer conversation. But when we first met, we just felt like instant kindred spirit connection. So I'm grateful that she's here. And what we're going to be talking about today, for our outlook for today, is how to protect your peace as an introvert and an empath. And we are both. So we wanted to just share some of our thoughts and experiences around that, especially given what's happening with the pandemic. It's really important that we all stay grounded and present and give ourselves what we need to navigate this new normal. Mm-hmm. So, and as a reminder, the purpose of this video series is to really help you feel deeply aligned with who you are, so you can really thrive in your life and business, especially if you're an introverted entrepreneur. All right, so 20 looks and outlooks. So of course we have to start with the look, right? We got to get the vibe right. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna let Denise start. Well, actually, let me introduce you. Yeah. Okay. So go ahead and share a little bit about you, so everyone knows who you are and about all your incredible talent.
So thank you, Jen. I am a singer and an educator, and I'm based in New York. I love to sing neo soul, R&B, jazz music. I think that's my foundation. And I go many different places from that, but that's my home base, is neo soul and jazz. And I connected with Jen, honestly. She was an answer to a prayer of mine. Connected to this, connected to what we're doing and talking about today. I was really struggling with, God, I need support on, I'm an introvert. How do I market myself? How do I put myself out there in this landscape? And then I was in the B School group and saw what Jim was doing. I was like, she is it. It's like, she's the one. She's got some answers for me. And we went from a client, relationship to just being really close friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love that she actually came down to Houston. We did a photo shoot, and we found your leather jacket that you wanted to rock.
Yes, we did. I should have worn that.
We were determined to wear, and yes. I'll say that photo shoot really, it was all about expressing your essence, and she really owned like what it means to really own your quiet voice and that fierce power. She really embodied that. It's getting goosebumps. I remember that moment so clearly. So I just love that moment that we shared together.
Yeah. And that leather jacket was another pair, because everyone was like, you are not going to find a motorcycle vintage leather jacket
in the middle of the summer,
in like the summer in Houston, Texas. And we found it. It was perfect.
I was like, she wants it. We will find it. Yes.
Yes.
We did find it. It's perfect.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. So we're going to be talking about how to protect your peace and as an introvert and empath. But before we do that, it's time to share why I always talk about your style and your look, is because I know for me as an introvert, I have to be able to connect with my own energy. And I'm not the loudest person in the room, but when I put something on, it's like something clicks inside, and I just feel myself, and I just feel like the energy is lined up, and I just feel like myself. And so that's why I really love starting off these videos, and it's really a part of my sacred practice, is really to wear things that really adorn myself with beauty, and the things that speak to my soul, because it is a practice for me to like feel attuned to myself. So that's why I want to start off all these videos sharing something that really inspires my soul. So let's start with you, Denise. Like, what do you feel lit up to wear today?
So I usually I'm Muslim, so I wear scarves on my head all the time. Usually I tie it kind of going down or draped around my neck. But this is kind of interesting. I started wearing it up the last maybe week or so.
It's beautiful.
And I felt really, really connected to it for some reason. It was speaking to my spirit to wear it up. And I'll just tie it together with, I did a kind of breathing meditation yesterday. And I was thinking, okay, when you do breathing meditation, you're going to tap into maybe like unreleased pain and things like that. That's what I was expecting to do, like resolve trauma. And what actually came out of the breathing was this deep connection to my power. And it was very interesting that power can be repressed. You know, I was thinking I was going to release pain, but what I realized I had been needing to release was power. So I think this head wrap up, it connects to that energy that I'm feeling right now. And then like my hoops is just my favorite. I love big hoops.
Yes, girl,
I always have. Yes. Hoops just, I don't know what it is, but it feels girly, and it feels like, in a way, like the bigger the hoop, the more space I'm allowing myself to take up and not really care. Right?
Oh, you're speaking my language. Okay.
So yes, I love really big hoops, and I love these. And I was saying to Jen that there's these shoes that just spoke to me. I kept eyeing them. I was like, I'm going to get them. And so I put them on today because I was like, these give me energy. And I'm like, these are when this quarantine is finally over and I go out, I'm going to wear them. I'll turn my camera around for a second. So these are the heels.
They're like snake
skin. I love them. They're snake skin.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't think they're real snake skin, but I just love them. I love the color. And I think that, how do I turn this around? Oh, I think that the thing about these is they have this like rust brown color, which kind of feels vintage, which is kind of my energy, that kind of old soul, jazz, vintage, but funky kind of feeling. So that's why I picked these pieces today.
I love that your shoes, they're sleek, and then with the snake skin, it adds that edge.
Yeah.
You know, you and I, we both love vintage, so it's just like something about vintage has its own story. So it's like when you take something,
that's what it's about.
Yeah, and then you create your own story. It's like you're like bringing life to that old piece and then creating new life through you. That's what it feels like, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Beautiful. And I have to say, your head wrap, putting it up like that, it really frames your face beautifully. You look extra regal. You already have like a regal presence naturally, but having it up, it really frames your face really beautifully.
Thank you, Jen.
Okay, now let's do show and tell for me. So I was just like, what should I wear? So like I've shared in my other videos, each of the vintage pieces that I share have a name. So I was feeling out what to wear today, and I wanted to wear this. I'm calling it Grace. I love the word grace. And I'll share more about that. But let me just stand up here. Let me show you what I'm wearing.
Yes.
And I pulled up the sleeves. I think I got this at Goodwill.
I love it.
Come on, man.
I mean, the collar and it's so cute. And then to tie it like that at the bottom. I love it.
Yeah. I'm wearing with high-waisted jeans and house slippers because, hey, we're at home. But I love this. So let me say why I wore it. I love feminine things, but with a little edge. And there's something very unique. Like it's flowy, but it also has an avant-garde feel, almost like futuristic. And that somehow speaks to my core. Like I love, over the past few years, I've learned to embrace my femininity, but there is a part of me that does have that edge and that sort of progressive nature. And so that's why I always talk about you can be quiet and fierce. And I feel like, how do you embody that power and that strength, but not lose your feminine side, right? And so I love that this is striking, it's soft, but it's unusual. I love weird things. I love, like, to me, I think that's why I don't personally love shopping at the mall. No offense to the mall, but that's why I love vintage, is because you find things that really make a statement. And as an introvert, I'm not the loudest. However, when I put something on where I feel like myself, it's like, I know I'm making a statement. It's my energy, it's my presence. And to me, that speaks volumes, I feel, more than me just talking, you know?
And like you said, presence.
Yes.
Especially, I think, for introverts, people feel us.
Yes.
And our words aid that, but we exude a certain like presence in our own unique way.
Yes.
And those pieces that connect just kind of vibrates with that presence.
Yes.
And just creates it a little bit louder.
I agree. And why I chose the word grace for this top is because grace, I love the word grace because it's like connected to something bigger than you. And I feel like for me, how I've learned to embody this certain sense of humility and power is because I trust something bigger than me. God is guiding me. And so God is really has been the one that's helped me heal and embrace like all sides of me, all the imperfections, and not just try to push, because that's how I used to be. Now it's like me even wanting to wear something like this, to me, it exhibits like the grace that I've been given, and that I'm excited and happy to share now that I can actually welcome within my spirit. You know? Yeah. And I think as introverts too, because we have a rich inner world, we naturally have a sense of grace because the way we process life, it's so deep. Like we take in so much and it goes so deep that we actually have to navigate with a sense of grace, or else it's overwhelming, right?
Yep.
What is before we go into the tips, how do you, as an introvert and an empath, well, for those of you who want to know the difference, the introvert just means you need regular quiet time. It doesn't mean you're shy or antisocial. It just means you need regular quiet time. And then an empath is someone that's highly sensitive, who can naturally pick up on other people's energy and emotions. And it's tricky because you can feel so much. And so it's really important to have boundaries around that, right? So before we share like our tips, do you have any personal experience or thoughts around like what it means for you to be an introvert and empath, and like how you navigate the world?
Something that's been helpful too is my Myers-Briggs personality that's also connected to that. And I'm an INFJ.
Me too.
Really?
Yes. See?
That makes so.
Yes.
But I think and sometimes this can be overwhelming, that I'm picking things up from multiple sources. So I have to give myself time to synthesize the information.
Yes.
So I'm picking things up on my body. Like I had a situation with the way my office is set up. When people come in to meet with me, they're constantly talking on the right side of my body. So I started to feel a lot of like tension and pain on my right arm.
Oh, really?
And I started to realize it was because my right side was absorbing a lot of energy from people talking to me during the day. Consistently on my right side. So, or particular people who would come into my office with certain type of energy. And then for me, I have this deep intuitive information, and then I'm also a very like logical, analytical person. So I started to realize that I have to give myself time. I think one of my favorite poets, she has this kind of short thing. It's like, if you need more time to think about a thing, give yourself more time to think about a thing. I'm completely paraphrasing it, but that's something that I've really had to hold on to, just honor that I synthesize information in a different way. So yeah, that's
fascinating. Now I'm gonna pay attention to that, like the sensations in my body, and given who's around and what's happening. Because I mean, I kind of feel that intuitively, but when you articulated it like that, I was like, oh,
And
wow.
I don't know if this is specific to us, but I believe it is, where sometimes, like you said, as introverts, we feel so much and we care so much
Yeah.
that it can sometimes be easier to project that power and that sensory ability outward,
Uh-huh.
where you're constantly picking up information about everyone else and processing what's coming
Yes.
at you.
Yes.
And I think one of the things I've been reflecting on is like taking that gift of introvert energy and using that to heal and connect with myself.
First.
Because then there's so much intuition and body speaking and empathy that's happening within my own inner world
Yes.
that needs time to process, just so that my inner team can be well taken care of, just
Yes.
like we like to take care of the outside world.
Yes. We are in sync. We're in sync.
Yeah.
Because the first tip I was going to share was to fill your cup first. Because even though we can pick up, like what you're saying, on other people's energy, we're going to get lost if we go straight into that and not have some clear boundaries around that. So what I've learned is not to feel like you're being selfish by taking care of yourself first.
Yes.
Like what I've realized, especially during this pandemic, when it first happened, I was like, oh, I was like, okay, things are changing. And then I started to get a little panicked. I started to get more information. I was like wanting to know what's happening. And even though we're at home, I felt so drained. I was like, why? I'm not even moving around that much. And I realized it was just information overload. It wasn't just information. It was emotion. It was grief. It was sadness. It was like, and it was just too much. So what has helped me, and I hope people that are watching this, it's helpful for them, especially during this time, is in the morning when you wake up, don't go straight to your phone. Don't go straight to the TV. Like, have some quiet time to really reflect on guidance. I pray and I ask for guidance on what I'm meant to receive that day. And I just get still and allow myself to receive the messages that I need. Who am I meant to serve? What do I need? Paying attention, like maybe I need a walk first, or maybe I need to go have breakfast first, or whatever. Wear something beautiful. Like filling my cup first has really helped me separate myself from reacting to the world, even though I'm at home, to responding to going, okay, now that I feel full, I can now engage with the world, because I'm not going to be like, I just feel a deeper sense of groundedness. Yeah. Does that, how are you navigating this time with like?
Yeah. As that, one of the things that I don't know if I should say that, the first thing that came to mind was, I've noticed, and this started around last year, even before the coronavirus, at the time when there were a lot of fires in the forest in Australia and in Africa. And I had also had an issue, this was even before the fires, within the Muslim community that affected a lot of the people that I knew within my spiritual community. And I started to realize that, I don't know if it was me tapping into it, or just like, our body grows, I could feel this sort of empath connection growing bigger than it used to, where I could feel collective energy. So I had to start to figure out what it felt different. I could tell it wasn't just my own personal response. It was me being tapped into a group.
Something bigger. Yeah.
Something bigger that I was connected to. Or the earth speaks to us. I found at this time the birds chirping, and I'm like, I don't know what they're saying, but they heal me so much. Or the wind, or the trees. I think these things we're way more connected to them than sometimes we realize.
Yes.
So then when they're hurting, and it's, you know, you and I talked about this personally. There's a lot of pain happening right now because of this virus.
Yes.
People are losing people, and people who I know personally are in ICU, and, you know, these things are happening. And at the same time, there's a deep restorative energy that I'm feeling. And before that restorative energy, there was this collective feeling of the earth, that the earth was in pain. And I think we were all tapping into that in different ways.
Yeah.
So I say that to say, just first recognizing where the feeling is coming from. And then I've found that I think sound has been the most healing for me during this time of the coronavirus. I would have to say is sound, because there's something about sound where it's vibrating.
Yes.
It's vibrating out. And I think the world right now, you're picking up a lot of different vibrations. You may be picking up the earth regenerating, but then you're picking up a vibration of pain and someone suffering, because we're all connected. And I think this virus is really helping us see how the entire world is connected.
Yeah, how we all impact each other.
Yes. And so I think sound helps me feel like I'm vibrating out what I want in the world.
Yeah.
And also at the same time, before it vibrates out, it vibrates in me.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like harmony and sound bowls and sound healing.
Yes.
I've been paying attention to, like, I used to read the Quran a lot, which is, you know, the book within my faith tradition. And I've been listening to it recited more. And it's a different healing experience to also not only read it, but like hear it. So I would have to say sound.
Wow. And the fact that you are a singer, right? Because I've seen you, especially more lately, you've been singing more. So it's like, I can imagine now that you're saying that, it makes total sense that the more you restore yourself and have that harmony within yourself, that you feel more comfortable to share that healing sound out, right? I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's talk about boundaries, because I loved our last conversation, because I feel like this is really key for introverts and empaths. In order to navigate the world, people, you have to have boundaries, and not to feel guilty about that, because especially now, you have to protect your energy. Self-preservation is everything. It's not selfish, right? And something that I had to figure out, taken practice, is I felt so guilty that if I associated, like, let me fix you, or let me take care of you, or let me do all the things to prove to you and show you that I care. So for me to have boundaries, I thought, but then they're not going to know that I care. And what I realized over time was, I don't have to prove that I care. I just, the people that I care about, they know I care. I actually don't have to do a performance or prove that. And so that has been so, like, freeing for me to go, oh, I'm not responsible for you. I'm only responsible for me. Right? It's just really, and when you start to do that on a regular basis, you feel more energy. Like, more energy comes back to you, because your energy is not tied to all these things like, hey, I gotta fix you, hey, do this, hey. That's actually what I realized was a form of self-sabotage, because it was like I was trying to distract myself from actually giving myself what I actually need, and actually placing a weight on what I need versus what I think I should be doing, so I feel valid, so I feel acknowledged, valuable, right?
Yep, totally resonate. Boundaries has been a real journey and continues to be one for me. I think where my ability to start setting boundaries has come from is, first of all, I started to realize that what I thought was helping was control.
Yes.
And what I thought was helping was lack of faith. Because it was like, I have to do it or it won't get done.
Yes.
And
Yes.
going back to your top, it your blouse about it being connected to grace. I've felt that word so much,
Yeah.
because I had to step back and say, first of all, if I have faith that God is taking care of me and guiding my journey, then that means he's doing that for everyone.
Yes.
So that does not mean he may use me to be a conduit for that.
Yes.
But if I know that I don't have, he's not endowed me with that, and it's not healthy to be that person, and I'm jumping over the fence
Yes.
to prove something,
Yes.
that is, I want to be in God's work, in God's time. When we say, thy will be done and things like that, it's like God is taking care of us. And if you believe that, then it's like, I can pray for them and help them in a way that feels healthy to me. And then I think the other big thing was doing inner child work has been
Yes.
huge.
Yes.
Because first of all, you realize, I was saying this to a friend of mine, because I'm not a biological parent, right? But I'm like, we are all parents in our life. We're always taking care of responsible first to take care of our deepest sensitivities.
Yes.
And to listen to our emotions, and then find a way to compromise and find a way to move forward, honoring how we feel.
Yes.
And so I wanted to start protecting and giving that deeper sensitivity the protection that it wanted and the nurturing that it needed.
Yes.
And that meant not overdoing stuff. I wouldn't not feed my own child and then go to somebody else's house and feed them. That would sound kind of like, wait a minute, you have to kind of take care of home first and then keep going out from there.
Yes.
So I think those are my two things for that.
You and I are so in sync, because on top of, like, when you were talking about the self, because that's what I was going to talk about next with the self-love, that reparenting is huge. I've been actually journaling more. And oh my gosh, I'm getting goosebumps. When you give yourself the actual time and validation, like, okay, I hear you.
Yes.
And I see you. And because I know when I need myself, I feel anxious. I'm like, oh, I need to do something. And when I slow down and stop getting on social media, and so I feel a sense like it's like my small self, my little Jennifer inside. It's like, finally, you're paying attention to me. Thank you for listening to me. And it's just like, once I actually stay present and focus on, like, okay, what is it that I actually need? That act is like I'm placing weight and validation on something that I need. And again, it's like you're having to relearn, like, oh, I'm worth my own time. Oh, I'm worth my own energy, my own care. Oh, okay, I'm not just about productivity or how I look or all these external things. It's like my needs on the inside matter. And so once I started committing to that, oh my God, that whole people pleasing thing started to fall away, because I was like, you know what? I don't need you to understand me. Even if you misunderstand me, I can still have a conversation with you, and I'm not going to lose it, because I know who I am. And so that's what I encourage all of you watching, is like, give yourself permission to give yourself what you need, to listen, to love yourself, to encourage yourself, to know that how you're naturally built is on purpose. This being highly sensitive is a gift. I saw a post on Instagram today, how someone said being highly sensitive is not the same as being fragile. Being highly sensitive is actually a superpower. And so what we've been taught, I'm sure you got those messages growing up, Denise, is like, if you're quiet, if you're sensitive, that's bad. People are going to take advantage of you. And what I realized is, like, no, I feel like the people that are the strongest leaders that I've found is they have an assertiveness, but it comes from deep compassion and empathy.
Yeah.
There's a high emotional intelligence. and they can
Yeah.
navigate because it's based on compassion, not I'm trying to force my way and tell you and I'm going to be the dictator. That is not true leadership. So I
Yeah.
really like true leadership starts with you leading yourself in a very
Yes.
nourishing way, in a very
Yes.
supportive, encouraging. It takes like one thought at a time, one present moment at a time. And then when you do that, I'm telling you, you start to give and show up for other people in ways where they can feel that wholeness from you, you know?
Yes. Yes. And I mean, one of the reasons why I like the concept of saying inner child is that when you love a child, you don't love a child because of something they do.
Right.
You love a child for who they are.
Yes.
You
Yes.
love a
Yes.
child for their being, for their
Yeah.
laughter, for their smile, for the fact that they're in your life and you get a chance to take care of them, or you get a chance to just experience them. And so it shifts that sort of, I love myself if I do X, Y, and Z.
The
And
conditional. Yeah.
that conditional
Yeah.
love.
Right.
And then the other thing that I started to realize is that taking care of myself first, every superpower can sometimes work against you.
Yeah.
So when I'm very sensitive, that means I'm feeling a lot. Then if I'm not processing and I'm not paying attention how I talk to myself, I lose the sensitivity of what I say to someone else.
Oh my God, that's another conversation. Yes.
So in order, really, people been saying this, love your neighbor like you love yourself. I mean, these
Yeah.
are things we've
Yeah.
heard all the time.
Yeah.
But I had it where my inner voice said, I can't do this with you anymore. I need you to speak kindly to me.
Yes.
And like, I heard it. It was like,
yeah.
no more. I can't, it hurts.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you can't hear that within yourself first, how do you recognize when your partner is saying,
yes,
this hurts?
Right.
Or your friend is saying, this
Right.
hurts? So it has to start, with us. And because we're feeling so much, we can be reacting even more.
Yeah.
If it's not being processed. Yeah.
Yeah. When I set the intention to be more, I think I said a prayer. I was like, God, help me to understand myself more. Help me to understand myself more. So once he started giving me that insight and that wisdom. Then I started to understand other people more, and it created more harmony. And I was like, oh, I see why I was so reactive and why there was always tension with this person or different people, is because I was reacting in my own self, because I was being defensive and stuff. But when you actually take the time to go, oh, okay, separating yourself, like that person is completely entitled to how they see their life. You can't deny their own reality, right? So you can communicate and find common ground, but you can't tell them that how they're living is wrong. Right. And so the more that you can, like, again, have that harmony, like we're talking about, it just sets the stage for how you engage with others, and people then start to feel more safe with you because you feel safe with yourself.
That's one of the things that has been so mind-blowing. I kept hearing everyone say this stuff. It's within you. It's within you. But you can really get that sense of safety. It starts within you.
Yes.
Or that sense of, and you've mentioned that, especially, it's really important for us as introverts when we are going to share our gifts with the world, to first kind of think about, how can I feel supported and safe?
Yes.
Because we are highly sensitive. So that's why, like, even if it's like, I told Jen, like, my favorite blanket at home, I have that with me right now, because that was kind of the energy of, I've been paying attention to those kind of things. Is there an oil or something that makes me feel safe within myself first?
Yes.
Before I can go out into the world and share my gift or anything.
Yeah, that's such a gift that you give to yourself, when you can ask yourself, what is it that I need? How can I create that safety within myself? And you don't need anyone's approval. You just give yourself that.
Yes.
Even if you don't, like, kind of forget how to take care of yourself in a moment, you can always go back and go, okay, well, all right, I'll try again. And instead of
Mm-hmm.
like, I used to talk to myself so harshly. That's why I was so terrified to make mistakes, because I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't want to get punished, you know? But I was like,
Yes.
oh, I was actually punishing myself. So,
Mm-hmm.
so now it's like giving myself, again, grace. Like, hey, we're all learning. We don't know, especially what's happening now. How the hell are we going to navigate this pandemic? No one knows, but all we can do is stay present and go step by step. And what this pandemic has showed me more and more is that we need each other. We need each other. And that's what I really feel like, my getting goosebumps again. I really feel like introverts, empaths, highly sensitive people, I really feel like are being called to step forward and help others navigate this inner, like, we're all quarantined, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that quarantine is allowing us to go inward. And so,
Mm-hmm.
helping others to navigate that, because it's natural for us, but it's not natural for everyone else, right? And it is
Yeah. Yeah.
this journey, as you know, of like knowing yourself on such a deep level, that inner work, it's sometimes really hard. It's really painful. And so how do you um, have that fortitude to keep moving forward, because
Mm.
all that heavy stuff is coming up. That's why what you see in the world is actually, I feel like, a reflection of what's happening to us individually.
Yes.
It's showing on a
Yes.
collective level, right? So
Yes.
it's all coming up to be healed, but it's messy, and it's full of grief and suffering. But how do we, I still believe that we're all still collectively stronger than the pain and the suffering, but we have to stay
Yes.
present and engaged to navigate this together. We're not supposed to do this alone. I really feel like this old way of the ego, that
Yes.
is, I feel like, is what's dying. Those structures are dying. That's what's like leaving, and this whole new awareness, consciousness of how can I show up my highest self in service to myself and everyone else, in
Mm-hmm.
service to humanity, in the spirit of love, in the spirit of service, peace, harmony. And that's what I feel like the long view is, but it is painful. It's hard. But the thing that's always given me faith is like, we need each other. We're doing it together, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's when you brought up the ego. I think, again, I'm very sensitive to other people's energy, but I'm very sensitive almost how I relate to other people's negative energy. I'm very sensitive to my own ego.
Yeah.
And because I'm not kind of I'm very connected internally, I hear it and then I wonder about it. It can sometimes intimidate me and I'm like, okay, I can't do it, or I'll listen to it, as opposed to just kind of, I'm not doing like maybe an extrovert is all the time. So I'm kind of just on autopilot.
Right.
It's harder for me to be on autopilot.
Right.
So what I've found for me is like, the thing that overrides and helps me share as an introvert and kind of override the ego is love.
Yes.
Really love and joy,
Yes.
and giving myself permission to come from that place, and knowing myself enough to know what love is,
Yes.
and that this is love. Like,
Yes.
I have that with music. It's like, I know I'm not doing this for ego, and I know when my ego can show up in it,
Right.
but the root of this is, I love this
Yes.
and I want to share this.
Yes.
And I think as introverts, it's really important for us to know that we're sharing from a place of love, because that will help us push through whatever internally is very hard for us to share out.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a beautiful summary to what we're talking about. Like, when you start to love yourself first, fill your
Mm-hmm.
cup, give yourself what you need, and then you give from your overflow, and then that love will inspire you to take care of yourself with the boundaries, right? We're talking about,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and understanding like what's yours and what's not yours, and then expressing yourself, making your impact from that higher place of love. Less about the ego. It's less about, I wonder how I'm being perceived. I wonder if people think this about me. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know who you are. And so that's the reason why you're going to show up. That's why you sing your songs. That's why I show up and share my poetry, or even want to be on video. It's like I'm naturally very private, but I can feel that God is saying, oh my gosh, I had a conversation with someone earlier. Everything that I've gone through, especially the past like 2-3 years, there's no coincidence that all that hardship has healed to the point where I feel more whole now, and it's lined up with the pandemic. There's no coincidence. I feel like that sense of wholeness, now God is saying, now I can use you when I need you. I can use you when other people are struggling. You can embody, demonstrate that love, that grace, that light that other people are trying to dig in within themselves. Right? So I just feel like, I just feel like what we're talking about is so timely, and I feel so grateful that we're having this conversation.
Yeah. And I think for me, one of the main things for myself first, but maybe this resonates with other introverts, is like, love is meant to be given.
Yes.
To be felt, I'll change it. To be felt and to be given, right?
Yes.
So I think for us, we have something, we love it, but then we can feel like, well, maybe it's better, or maybe it's easier to just keep it within myself.
Yeah, it feels safer just to keep it to myself.
Safer. And sometimes doing that, because it's an energy life force that wants to be out sometimes in the world, given to yourself first, but at a certain point it wants to go out. That's the nature of it.
Yes, it's meant to be shared.
It can feel like anxiety for us, because it's like, you've got this, but it's like, man, I feel like it's safer to hold on to it.
Right.
You know, there's a neo soul jazz album that I love, by Robert Glasper, and at the end of the album, he asked someone, and he recorded the conversation. He said, what is love? And the person said, love is the universe making itself known to itself and to others. And I was like, I love that. And I think that's the process of the artist, and that's the process of the introvert. It's like, there's a whole love. We have a whole world of love inside of us, of making ourselves known to ourselves. And then the other part of that love is we've got to give it out in the spirit of love, and know that we're not coming from ego.
Denise, you just took everyone to church right there.
She said,
oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
You articulated that so simply and profoundly. Yes. Oh my God. That's the truth. That is the truth. Love is meant to be shared. You have to give it to yourself first, but you can't hold on to it, because it's actually meant to come through you.
Yes.
And that unique expression is why God put you on this earth, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Is there anything else that you've on your heart that you'd like to share with our community to help them protect their peace as an introvert, as an empath? Any last words?
It's hard to just sum it up. It's a beautiful process. And I think I speak to myself first. It can be painful sometimes. And you feel this calling, like, okay, I'm an introvert. This would be so much easier if I just stay within myself. And the process of pushing out for an introvert can feel really grueling at times. But the beauty and the love and the internal connection and sense of freedom that's on the other side of getting of that journey is worth it. Like, if you're going through that painful process of like, I know I need to get this out, but I don't know how, like, just stay the course and like be patient with yourself, because that release, you are safe. And I think that's one of the main things for introverts, is for us to know that we are safe and that there's beauty on the other side of that process.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I always talk about like the turtle way, and I feel like there is a time when we need to retreat and have our quiet time in our shell to feel safe.
Yeah.
but we were never designed to stay there. You know, just because you're an introvert doesn't, I was guilty of this. Don't use being an introvert as an excuse to hide. You actually have to come out. You have to
Yeah.
share
Mm-hmm.
in your own time. Like a turtle's not fast, but it is
Uh-huh.
like it's steady, slow and steady. And so just give
Mm-hmm.
yourself that permission to just go, okay, after I have my quiet time, I'm committed to just taking one step at a time, one step at a time.
Yes.
Because it's your lane. You're not competing with anyone.
Yes.
You're just meant to share. You're just meant to move forward. That's why we're here. We're meant to evolve, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love our conversation.
I know.
Every time, every time.
Every time. Mm-hmm.
So if people are interested in checking out more about you and especially your music, where can they find you?
So I'm on Instagram, at Saidah Denise, on Instagram. Also SaidahDenise.com. You can sign up for newsletters and get some free downloads if you go over there. So those are my two homes
Awesome. And
virtually.
you have a new single or a new album?
So I'm recording my album right now, which, with the quarantine, it's like, oh God, I can't get to the studio, but I have been taking this time to like write. And then there's like a new app called Voicey where I can just kind of
I've
connect
seen that.
with
Yes.
some friends and just kind of do harmonies and things
That's
like that.
awesome.
So I'm also on Voicey as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Perfect. Well, thank you for sharing. Definitely everyone check her out. She's amazing, as you can tell. Definitely check out her music, but you can tell the artist behind the music is incredibly, that's where the heart, the soul comes from. So, and for
Thank
those
you,
of you,
Jen.
oh, you're welcome. And for those of you interested in connecting with me more, if this resonates and you need support, like how to navigate really growing your business and your brand as an introverted entrepreneur in a way that really honors your natural strengths and your energy, definitely reach out. My email is info@dawningsoul.com, or you can send me a private message. And for those of you interested in the featured vintage piece, this is Grace. I'll share in the comments the more details on the piece. And as a reminder, a portion of the proceeds for the sales of these vintage pieces of my Gabiola collection will go to the Kobe and Vanessa Bryant Foundation, as well as the Mamba Foundation, Mamba Sports Foundation, to help further Kobe and Gigi's mission in youth sports. So, okay, so thank you so much, Denise, for this conversation. Always giving me life. Always giving me life.
Same here, soul sister.
Yeah, and
yes.
I hope this has been very helpful for you. I hope it served you, especially during this time. It's a strange time, but know that we're all connected and your people are out here. If you're an introvert, if you're an empath, highly sensitive, I hope our conversation has helped you feel less alone during this time, because you're not alone.
Yes.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.